Hi all, Tanya Nanthavong here. I want to talk today about breaking familial cycles. Most of us don't know what that means because one, we've never seen it, and two, we don't talk about it, we don't discuss it, and it's kind of like a taboo topic. However, it's very important for us to realize that there are negative and very dysfunctional familial cycles, things that have been passed down through our families that somebody needs to take responsibility for and change. I'll give some examples. The foods we eat, the way we are in our relationships, the way our mental status is when we have a barrier. Those are just some few examples of things that we learn from how our parents and our grandparents, our aunts and uncles interacted and what we saw growing up. We don't typically do what our parents tell us to do. The old phrase, do as I say, not as I do, doesn't work that way. We do what we see them do. And then that in turn is how we interpret and act out as adults. So I had multiple conversations about different things over this past week about breaking familial cycles. And some of the things that we have to understand is that somebody, doesn't matter who, but somebody in the family has to be responsible for breaking the cycle. One thing that I talked about a lot last week was with food. So we learn how to eat from our parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, things like that. So we learn from those people that are around us, and we just perpetuate that. So diabetes does not you're not just born with it. High blood pressure, you're not just born with it. Those are things that we can actually change. Those are things that we learned how to eat certain foods, or we've adapted to eating certain foods that have created those issues within our families. And then our children see it, our cousins, everybody in the family now eats a certain way because of this. And then that just goes on to the next generation. So that's just one example. Another example is negative or dysfunctional relationships. We see how our parents act. We see how they interact with one another. And typically that is what we take into our relationships. That's why we have so many relationships that are failing, because nobody wants to step up and say, hey, this is not okay. We don't want to follow the do as I say, not as I do type mentality anymore. We want to learn and we want to grow and we want to become better, and we want to teach our children those same things so that they can go into their relationships as they become teenagers and young adults and then adults. They come into those relationships and they're more functional and they're happier and they're progressing forward. So I say all this to say there are a few ways that we can do this, so that way our families don't take it as a negative, and our families don't think that it's coming across disrespectful, but it's really that we just want to grow and become better people. We want to have better relationships. We want to be able to have good relationships at work. We want to be able to have good relationships with our children. We want to be able to have good relationships with one another and how we interact with people on a day-to-day basis, especially if you're in a relationship with somebody, an intimate relationship with somebody. So some of the ways we can do that is 3 easy things that I've found in my own ways of breaking familial cycles in my own family. So one of those ways is by love, knowing that it's coming from a place of love, not a place of disrespect or not a place of I'm better than you, but just a place of love that because I want to love and I want to show love to my family and also to others around me, this is a way that I am going to move forward in breaking the dysfunction and breaking the cycles. So we show love. The other is education. We educate each other. Hey, I know this is what we've always done, but that doesn't mean that it's always right. A lot of times we think, oh, well, that's how our family's always done it, or that's how we've always cooked, or my mom and dad, they argued, but they still loved each other. Doesn't mean that it's right. So educate each other. As you're learning things, share that with your family. Share that with your friends. Share that with people that you're in a relationship with on any type of intimate level. And so that way they can learn and grow as a person as well and forward that on to the next generation. And then it continues to get better. These are not things that are going to go away overnight. And then last but not least is be respectful about it. So if we come from a place of love, education, and respect, then we can break familial cycles and we can start seeing positive changes as each generation goes on. So I challenge you to look at your family, look at the things that you're doing, and how you can start breaking the dysfunctional and the negative familial cycles in your family. All right, have a great week. Bye.